probably wondering how I got here. Well, that's because I'm a player. What's that sound? Are you shit at War Thunder and in desperate need of help? Don't worry boys, I got your back here. I've put together a list of 12 things that you're probably messing up. It is in my belief if you can at least master these 12 concepts that your gameplay in War Thunder will be tremendously improved. And if you're a veteran player, hey, what do you have to lose? Maybe there's something for you to gain here too. And just before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. And thank you to everybody who got me to monetization on my last video. We really knocked it out the park on that one. But without further ado, let's get to reason number 1. Taking too much fuel. Now, this is something that I see in players that especially are new. Fuel is heavy and can affect your flight performance pretty drastically, and you should generally be always taking the minimum amount of fuel that you can take, with exceptions to things like top tier jets and afterburning jets, as they can get through their fuel usually much quicker than your entire lifespan if you're not careful. Number 2, bad loadouts. Now, I know you really probably feel like a badass by taking bombs and rockets on your P-51, but I promise you it's not doing anything but negatively affecting your flight performance and the flight model of your aircraft. Think about it. If you're heavy from bombs or whatever else might be loaded onto your plane, you won't be able to climb as high and you won't have the same advantage that you would have had if your plane was completely stripped. While you might be bombing bases for RP, I promise you it's not making you any better at the game. It's just making you easier to kill. Number 3, committing too soon. Ooh, let me tell you about this one. I've had so many squad mates that dive on the first plane that they see. And what happens? Not only are they spotted by the entire enemy team, you're also at an altitude disadvantage for the rest of the game. The energy that you spend to go down there and kill that one person versus continuing to climb and be at an altitude advantage with some of the more powerful fighters that are going to be in the game and actually more of a threat to you is very often understated. And let's face it, 9 times out of 10, that first plane that you see is going to be some sort of attacker plane or something that's not really going to be a threat to you or anybody on your team. It just takes a little bit of discipline. Number 4. Taking head-ons. There's a term for this, mutually assured destruction. Now, I'm not saying that you should never take a head-on, and there is some exceptions to where a head-on is actually viable, but I would say that's probably about 20% of the time. What you should really be doing is shooting a few defensive offensive shots from a little farther away to cause the person to not be able to hone in on you and continue a steady, safe path towards you that he can shoot you in the head-on. Think about this for a second. You can either A, take the head-on and risk that 50-50 chance of your death, and even if you don't die, you might still get hit. B, avoid the head-on and use your newly found skills to get the advantage on that person, kill them, and then continue fighting. This is how you get high kill games. Once again, there is a few exceptions to the rule, but if you can learn to avoid these head-on passes, you could potentially live to get more kills. Number 5, picking fights with turn fighters. Now this really comes down to your knowledge of planes, but there's a rule of thumb that at least at first can help you really determine which planes you should be fighting and which planes you shouldn't be fighting. If it's Japanese, it probably turns good. If it's a Spitfire, it probably turns good. If it's a Bf-109, it probably turns pretty good too. And last but not least, if it has 2 sets of wings, it can't be outturned. Now there's a lot of different variables and there's so many different planes to learn, but try sticking with boom and zoom tactics where you don't necessarily engage in a turn fight with these guys, but you speed at them in an attempt to hit them with your guns and get the hell out of there. As most of the time, planes that are turn fighters aren't usually going that fast, but then again, stuff like that's situational. Number 6, not climbing and maintaining energy. This one's a bit of a 2-for-1 special, and especially as a fighter plane, this is something you should be always doing. You ever heard the term speed is life? Well, there's also a second part to that. Altitude is insurance. Every bit of altitude that you claim is just you storing up more energy for your plane to be able to dogfight. That energy is going to allow you to dictate the dogfight a lot more than if you were slow. And if you get slow, you're just an easy target for somebody else to kill you. Another little pro tip with this one is if you're climbing and you do see an enemy coming towards you, and you do have enough time, level your plane out and start gaining speed in that direction. I promise you, you don't want to be going slow, even with all the altitude advantage in the world. And one more thing I'd like to add is I see people do this all the time. They're diving down on somebody that's way slower than them, and they go for it all in one turn. Sometimes it's better to just go past, loop back around, extend away from your opponent, and just re-engage. That way, you're never putting yourself at a disadvantage, especially if you're in the less maneuverable plane. Doing this is a must. Number 7, sitting behind bombers. how many of us can seriously say at one point or another that we've never died to a bomber like this? It just simply is not the best way for dealing with a bomber. There's two principles to this that I think matter the most. The first thing is the belly of the bomber is usually the least protected place on it, and probably where you should be starting your attack. The second one is that this is something kind of psychological, and something that I've maybe noticed in most players in War Thunder is they don't realize how far their bullets can travel. Especially if you're in a bomber shooting backwards, your bullets will travel very far, and yet people won't start shooting at you until you're maybe about a kilometer out. So basically, if you have a 50 caliber and up gun and you're shooting towards a bomber, you can usually hit that bomber till about 1.5 kilometers out. Take advantage of that time and get your first shots out. If you hit them and you weaken them, anything can help. You knock an engine out, you could potentially set a fire. If you've got 20mm cannons, they have high explosive in them. You can blow parts off his plane literally before you get to him. Shoot early. Number 8, flying at enemy airfields. Okay, I'm not saying that there's a way to do it, but that's really only at top tier. And come on guys, how many times have you been baited or seen somebody get baited all the way to the enemy airfield just to be shot down by the enemy airfield's AA? That stuff is cracked and it'll end you in no time. So truth be told, it's better to avoid it altogether. And I tell you what, if you really want to get somebody out of their airfield AA, go kill some ground targets. Once they see the tickets start to come down on their side, they'll come over to you. Number 9, not rolling before you turn. This may seem trivial to some, but I see it all too often. You should always roll your plane in the direction that you want to pull. It leads to a lot more of an efficient turn, it leads to you not using so much energy, and in general it allows for a faster turn. Number 10, using flaps and air brake. Flaps can be one of the most pivotal things you can use during a dogfight to gain the advantage and help you pull lead on your shots, or even just outmaneuver whoever you're trying to shoot down. If at very least you have combat flaps, you're doing a lot better than most, and make sure you're using them when you get slow. Of course, every plane's flaps are different, so you're going to have to learn for your plane when your flaps are going to break and when you can actually use them, but if used effectively, it's a big bonus. And air brake definitely deserves an honorable mention as well. While only really being available on top tier or high tier aircraft and jets and whatnot, it's actually where they'd be most useful anyway, because a prop doesn't accelerate fast enough to justify losing all its energy most of the time. Number 11, sound awareness. Now, I know that this tip is immensely more useful in ground RV. This can truthfully be the difference between dying and getting ambushed and actually having the time to react to somebody that might be trying to slot in on your 6. Sometimes the sound is just an AI plane going past you, but it's never a bad idea to just have a look and make sure that BF-109 that outclimbed you didn't just dive on you and never showed up on your minimap. Number 12, not learning planes. The biggest culprit of this is people who buy premium planes and grind the tech tree too fast, but also in general new players have a plethora of aircraft that they don't know. And the thing is all these planes, even down to the specific models of each aircraft, have different flight performance. Take the time to learn the pros and cons of each aircraft, or at least the ones that you see commonly and are giving you problems. That way when you come to have to fight them in battle, you have a better understanding of what you can and can't do, and gives you the best chance for a kill. It's okay to go back and play props or play earlier jets, but honestly if you're under a 1.0 kill death ratio, I truthfully recommend just playing a lower tier and then working your way up from there. And just because a plane has a certain top speed doesn't mean it can achieve that speed at all altitudes, and it might make it appear fast on paper, but the altitudes that it'll be fighting at in War Thunder, it's going to be slow. Well, there you have it. Hopefully I've given you a few things to think about, and if you can think of any helpful tips that might help the rest of the players watching this video, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. And if this video gets over 500 likes, I'll make another video with at least 10 more tips in it, and I'll feature the best tips that are commented below. Well, that's it for today guys, and be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Fly safe, boys.